and it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Tom Chapman, 15-year-old student from the Chipping Camden School and Academy. He is representing us, and he's going to actually talk about what can you do to encourage peace in our time. Over to you, Tom.
The definition of peace is a time when there is no war, violence, or disorder. Now look around you. Is this definition true? I don't hear bullets flying overhead, shells exploding, tanks rolling down the street. So it would appear that peace is something we've already achieved, not something we should be aiming for. So it may seem odd to you why I feel it's so important that we talk about this now. Now, the fact that Britain is in peace means that sadly a large portion of the British public have forgotten about the huge threats to global peace and security abroad in the form of ISIL. And statistics have shown that peace is much lower on the priority use than where it used to be. Now, I'm here to say to you all that this is a terrible thing, that because peace now is more important than ever, and the decisions the international community makes now are what will inflame or resolve the conflict. Now, the first thing we can do to encourage peace abroad is to get our hands clean in the Middle East. Now, the West's intervention has a long and, more frankly, disastrous history, and it's not surprising that such a violence has arisen. When the top generals organising the Iraq war from the US side were asked what the difference between Sunni and Shia Muslims was, not a single one could tell you. So it is no surprise that such vicious sectarian violence has arisen as a result. And furthermore, the UK government gladly supports dictatorships that purport the same poisonous ideology as ISIL. For example, Saudi Arabia, which beheaded 87 people last year for crimes including being an atheist. Yet David Cameron, in his obituary, described the recent dictator of Saudi Arabia, King Abdullah, as a great purporter of peace. And now I think that's frankly ridiculous. Now, the reason, although it may sound rather cynical, is oil interests. There's no denying that this is a factor. And something very simple yet critical that we as a society can do is to gain energy independence from foreign oil by investing in renewables, which will not only help us in climate change, which is clearly a very important struggle, but also in making sure that our negotiating powers are not tarred by murky deals to keep our fuel supply running. But we also have a very important task domestically to make sure that we are not fueling this crisis. Now, it is heartbreaking to see young British Muslims going abroad to fight with ISIL. Yet it is important that we understand the motivations of these young people. Now, it is very understandable why young British Muslims feel so unwanted, unvalued and unwelcomed by British society, with Islamophobic violence being on the rise year on year, and in fact the rise of more recent far-right parties, with Nigel Farage recently describing the British Muslim community as a fifth column, disgracefully. So it is very understandable why British Muslims feel alienated, excluded and unwanted. Now, we all know that peace comes about through cultural change, not reckless violence, and education is the way we can achieve this. Now, the government recently has deprioritised social and cultural development under academics and applied and non-applied skills. So we really need to reprioritise religious education and education about what Islam is truly about, because Islam comes from the words Is-salam, salam meaning peace, and the Quran explicitly forbids any killing at all. So to say that Islam is a violent religion is just incorrect in every sense. So making sure more British people understand this is imperative. Now, this entire speech was said better by Malala Yousafzai, an incredibly inspirational young girl, better in one sentence than in this entire speech. So I'd like to finish with a quote. Guns kill terrorists, but education kills terrorism. Thank you.